Welcome back to my channel, the best place for millennials who feel stuck in their careers to find their dream careers. In this video, I'm going to lay out 5 major benefits of job hopping if you're a millennial or if you are in your 20s. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to receive regular updates on all things related to career change. Also, join my Facebook group where you can chat with like-minded people who are interested in making their careers work for them and not the other way around. Hi, I'm Dr. John Tam. I have a PhD in sociology from the University of Oxford, and I'm passionate about helping millennials find their dream careers through gaining career clarity or building soft skills. So without further ado, here are 5 reasons you stand to benefit as a job hopper in your 20s. Benefit number 1, it's a new normal. I'm not going to elaborate too much about this, but check out my previous video on job hopping and why it's totally normal. And also check out my video on career change mindset. Essentially, you need to frame it properly. You are always looking for a new opportunity to grow, and you are looking for bigger projects to work on. So in your 20s, that's the best thing to do because you want to build the experience, build the portfolio, build your skill set so that you can move on to bigger and greater things. And to be super honest, if you're in your 20s, you are at an entry level and no one's really going to give you big projects at the get-go. So it's about proving your worth, proving your value by building those skill sets so that you can deliver at a high level when you get to your late 20s or your early 30s. And that's really when all the opportunities that are in the mid-level start showing up. Because at the entry level, no one's going to be giving you too much because you really have to pay your dues. So remember to frame it properly. You are looking for new opportunities to grow. You're looking for bigger projects. You're looking to build that skill set. And essentially, it's about building the skills for your career rather than looking for titles, because titles are honestly always changing, and at the rate that creative destruction is going in the job market, there are a lot of jobs out there that haven't even been created yet that you may be working in the near future. So definitely keep that in mind. The second thing to keep in mind about job hopping in your 20s is that not all job hopping is the same. If you switch jobs every 6 to 10 months, that's one thing, versus switching jobs every 2 to 3 years. Every 2 to 3 years is super normal. And if you are in a job and you've worked there for 2 to 3 years and you feel like super comfortable and you're just kind of coasting, then you really need to get over yourself because there's always bigger and better challenges out there. 20s is not the time to fall behind in the hustle. I'm not telling you to go like full out hustle life Gary Vee style. What I'm saying is essentially you need to pay your dues, you need to learn, and you need to close that skill gap, because the moment you start relaxing on those skills, what's going to happen is that 10 years later, if you're still working on that entry-level job and your peers have moved on to trying different projects and they've been job hopping in a meaningful way, what that means is that you're going to feel behind because you've been doing the same thing for 10 years straight, and meanwhile your peers may have had tried this, that, and they may have so much experience and their network would be much more broader. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you are looking at job hopping. Don't get too comfortable. You gotta stay hungry in your 20s. And one of the things is that you will be building skills. So you need to build the soft skills early, because the higher you go, the more soft skills you need. So check out my video on what are soft skills, which I'll put in the cards above. But essentially, hard skills are what gets your foot through the door, but soft skills is what helps you climb the corporate ladder. I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive, but soft skills become increasingly important as you go on. The third thing is that top performers are frequent job hoppers. They typically leave every 2 to 3 years on purpose and move on to another challenge. They've seen the world, they have different frames of references, they identify patterns among people, they know how to navigate politics because they've seen the patterns play out several times. They also don't have a fixed mindset, because what that means is when you go out in the world and you see patterns, what happens is that you learn quicker. In the book Make It Stick, it's basically a book about learning and how people really retain knowledge. What they've observed is that if you show someone 1,000 pictures of Picasso's painting versus you show them 1,000 pictures of different painters in that era, and then you tell them who's who, what they found is that the person who receives many different paintings, they are able to pick out Picasso's drawing even better than a person who only sees Picasso's painting. And the reason for that is there are a lot of different case studies that they're able to observe and pretty much figure out that, hey, this is what makes Picasso pop compared to everyone else. And high performers are job hoppers because, well, they've seen the world. They've seen different patterns play out in the workplace. And that also transfers into soft skills as well. And this is called spaced repetition and interleaved learning. And essentially, they figure out that there are multiple ways of doing things. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And you learn how to deal with different situations, like saying no to your boss, because you've seen many different bosses. So, for example, some people that I work with, they struggle saying no and they're setting boundaries in the workplace. And I have videos on that, which I'll put in the cards above and in the descriptions below, such as one on saying no to your boss and another on setting boundaries with coworkers. And these are typical problems that people experience if they stay comfortable in one position too long and they don't really job hop every 2 to 3 years to see what's out there. Do you agree that job hoppers are top performers? Let me know in the comments below. Another major benefit of job hopping in your 20s is that you will find your passion faster. And I talk about this in my video up above where I talk about finding your career passion in your 20s. But essentially, by tasting a lot of different things that are out there, you are able to identify, hey, what are the things that put me in a state of flow? What are things that inspire me? What are some things I can sit down and work on for 4 hours, but it literally feels like 30 minutes? And that's where you find like, hey, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I do not like. So back when I was teaching, I figured out very early that I hate sitting down and grading. I hate reading essays. And I love talking and I love teaching and I love interacting with people, which is why I'm doing more of that in my current work rather than sitting down and grading stuff, because that really, you know, kills any joy that I have in life. If you want to figure out what inspires more in your career, check out the free guide, which I'll put in the description below. You can also check out the career personality test, which I'll also put in the links below. Another major benefit of job hopping in your 20s is that it increases your income. The average internal raise that a person will get is typically approximately 3%. The average per jump is a 10 to 20% raise per jump. So if internal promotions are not an option, the job hop is probably the best way to get you up to market rates. And sometimes there are just structural things that get you stuck, right? The typical progression of anyone in the workplace is that they start in an entry level, and what happens is that they have a manager, and if the manager gets promoted or moves on to do something else, then something opens up and you have a chance to move on. Now, what if structurally that manager does not move anywhere? Right? What happens is that, well, you will get stuck underneath, and essentially you will never have the opportunity and you're waiting for something to move on that's totally out of your control. So therefore, it's important for you to, instead of waiting just for an opportunity to open up, you hop on to current openings. And along the way, make sure you don't burn your bridges so that you can always go back. And one good way to figure out whether it's time to hop or not is essentially check out salary.com or payza.com or payscale.com or the LinkedIn salary tool. Look at the pay for someone at your level. If you find that you're falling behind or you're not even at the average level, maybe it's time to make a hop. And with a simple hop, you can make the case that, hey, I deserve more. Hey, my skills are now updated, I should be here. If an internal move is not possible, then hopping somewhere else is an amazing way to get you up to market rates. And of course, if you don't burn bridges, you can always go back. Finally, the last major benefit is that if done properly, job hopping actually helps you build a very powerful professional network. Because what happens is that not only are you job hopping and you're meeting new people and you're creating new connections, if you're tactful about networking and really deliberate about creating these connections and not only networking when you need to, it feels slimy because when you reach out, you're asking for something, and that's what, you know, everyone can smell that coming a mile away. But if you are networking regardless of your situation, what that means is when the time comes up, people are willing to help you. And you gotta think of it this way. It's give and take. When you are building a professional network, you are not only asking people for stuff, people may ask you for stuff. If you create a connection and they want to make a hop in the future, they'll be like, hey John, haven't talked to you in a while. I'm looking to make a move. Anything open on your end? What does it look like over there? They may reach out. So therefore, these networks are powerful give and take relationships. And if done properly, job hopping helps you build a very powerful professional network very early in your career. And so it's super helpful. And these are the 5 major benefits of job hopping in your 20s. Now, if you've done your fair share of job hopping and it's not the good type, it's not the good 2 to 3 year type, it's kind of like the 6 to 8 months type where you keep leaving jobs, It may be because you really don't know what you want to do with your career and you are lacking that career clarity. If that's the case, I would recommend you to check out my free training called Stop Feeling Stuck, Find Your Dream Career, and I'll put it in the links below so that you can check it out. Also, like I said, you can download the PDF on how to find your dream career. You can also take a career personality test, which I've also included in the links below. Also, make sure to join my Facebook group to be in a community of people who are interested in making their careers work for them instead of the other way around. Now, as I suggested in this video, job hopping has its advantages, but overdoing it also has its disadvantages. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the disadvantages, so make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell for updates for when it comes out. Also, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this video. Does job hopping help you? Do you think it's a good thing? Don't forget to give it a like and share it with your network if you found this to be valuable. Take care.